What would you do when you discover tiny, almost laughable cars that can do twice the average speed of your regular V8? Welcome back to the conversation nobody wanted to have again. Mini cars are faster than your car, and it's getting even more embarrassing. 1. First on our list today is a car that looks like it was originally designed to be a chariot, but something went wrong and they threw in an engine and 4 enormous tires. And this was another car straight out of surgery. It has a Harley engine, and if you are familiar with its kind, you will know that the sound it makes out of the exhaust is worth its appearance in this video. Now let's talk numbers, because this is where the story gets uncomfortable. First of all, this thing weighs next to nothing, and that means every single bit of power it makes matters. There is no luxury padding or sound insulation. What you have is just an engine, wheels, and many bad intentions. The Harley V-twin delivers brutal low-end torque, so the moment you touch the throttle, it lunges. 0 to 60 happens faster than it looks like, faster than it feels legal, and definitely faster than a lot of cars that cost 5 times more and pretend to be performance machines. 2. We have another car, and this one still has those big tires that it gives a monster truck vibe, except that it is a pocket car, and it goes really fast. The guys who put this one together really got their creativity up high, and I am using my words very carefully. They used a 212 cubic centimeter engine, a reinforced chassis, and 25-inch ATV tires. How does this make sense practically? Well, it doesn't, and that's kind of the point. The oversized tires give it ridiculous grip and ground clearance for something this small, while the lightweight frame means that even a modest engine suddenly feels angry. There's no wasted power here. Every bit of that 212 cubic centimeters is being used to shove this thing forward like it has something to prove. You also have to consider the fact that the wheelbase is short and the center of gravity is quite high. And please, I am not saying anything about comfort when I speak about this car. It is purely the kind of ride that exists to answer a very specific question. What if we made something tiny, gave it monster truck tires, and just let physics figure out the rest? And somehow, physics figured it out. 3. As we go on, you should expect even more crazy looks like this. And don't make the mistake of looking down on it because of that. This thing is a beast. It has about 400 horsepower from its turbocharged nitrous-filled engine, and that is an absolutely unreasonable number for something that looks like it was built in a shed, which it probably was, by the way. And once again, weight is the real villain here. There's barely any mass to slow it down, so all that power doesn't get diluted, and this is one thing that sets it apart from your average sedan. Unless your car can match that instant throttle response, which I highly doubt, it stands no chance against this beast. 4. And next up on our list is this mini racer. It was built in 2023 for a mini car event and instantly stood out from the other entries. What they did was really simple. They took a go-kart and stuck in a motorcycle engine, so simple. Right? And I also think you have to give the craftsmanship some credit because immediately as they sent it out to the tracks, it had all the eyes on it. And that was not just because of its bright yellow color, even though that played a wonderful role. Now, remember, we said this bad boy has a motorcycle engine, and the first thing that should come to mind is pyre aggressiveness. And again, the low weight, meaning we have no power loss with this one. Once again, that is the recurring theme in our video today. Less unnecessary car parts, more speed. By the way, if you're enjoying this, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe for more awesome videos. Thanks. 5. Now let's talk about Porsche, but mini car version, so mini Porsche, but it is still insane. I mean, look at this build. It is another one of the cars to be powered by a dirt bike engine. And this one has a custom-filled tank with a 6-speed gearbox. Now I know what you are probably thinking. That can't possibly feel like a real Porsche. And honestly, you are absolutely right because it doesn't. It feels way worse, but in the best possible way. If you get what I mean, the steering is razor sharp and we have another very short wheelbase here, so there is really nowhere for the energy to move but forward. And that's the magic of these builds. They don't try to recreate the luxury or refinement of the real thing. They distill it down to the one part that actually matters, to them at least, and that is the thrill of speed. 6. Now I want to talk about the coolest little car you have probably ever seen. Believe it or not, everything you just saw was made from fiberglass and built on a go-kart chassis and a 28 horsepower engine. I know what you are thinking. Only 28 horsepower? Wait till it flies past you, and how they managed to pull that off. First, weight, or again, the complete lack of it. And I know you are probably hearing this a lot today, but it is what it is. The fiberglass body panels keep the car absurdly light, which means those 28 horses aren't dragging anything along. They're absolutely free to run. Every bit of power goes straight into motion instead of fighting mass. But we also have something to attribute its crazy speed to, and that's the gearing. You would want to always keep the engine in its power band, so the acceleration never reduces, giving out short, aggressive ratios. Think about it for a second. Once you're able to keep the engine in its power band all the time, you will never give it a chance to fall flat. There is one tiny detail I have not mentioned about this car yet, and that is the fact that you may need to perform some serious Olympic level gymnastics to get yourself in and out of that car. 7. Okay, enough of the good-looking cars. Now we are moving to one that looks a little odd to the eye, even for a military armor tank that we call the Pavan Badger. This thing is literally 3 feet wide. And this was not one of those shed experiments. It was actually commissioned by the California Civil Defense Service. And now the question is, how the hell does this thing go fast? You probably know armor tanks were never even built for speed in the first place. And no, I am not about to hit you with the whole less weight talk again, because while it is not the heaviest car out there, it does weigh a few pounds. So how are they able to get this done then? Every ounce of its weight is moving under controlled force, so instead of lumbering like a traditional tank, it has a punchy, sudden kind of speed that catches you off guard. The narrow width helps it maneuver through tight spaces, and the power-to-weight distribution, while far from perfect, is enough to make it feel faster than you'd ever imagine an armored mini-machine could be. It is probably the most impractical car on today's list, but it gets the job done, and that's what matters at the end of the day. 8. For this next ride, we are going to the Rebel Rouser, and if you know your stuff in the 90s, then you'd know that this guy is something of a Hollywood legend. It is a handcrafted replica of James Dean's 1949 Mercury from Rebel Without a Cause. But don't let the nostalgia fool you. While it captures every iconic line and curve of the original, its components are all modified for performance. For example, it's powered by a 1952 Toyota engine, which is a combination of reliability and punch, allowing this mini Mercury to reach an impressive speed of 160 kilometers per hour. And this is another one of those cars where we get to play the weight card. The engine of this thing is so lightweight that you can literally lift it with one hand. Well, if you have a bit of upper body strength and no shame in showing off, okay, maybe a bit of exaggeration there, but you get what I mean. This car was such a gem when it came out. Someone offered Ernie $450,000 to take it off his hands. And for a car that was altered in an unbranded garage, that is an insane amount of money. The interesting story is that Ernie actually rejected the offer and chose to keep the car for himself. You have to say the man knows his treasures. And there you have it, another collection of mini cars that prove beyond any reasonable doubt that size really doesn't matter when it comes to speed. I know at least one of these cars must have bruised your ego. Do well to let me know which one it was in the comments. Hit that like button, subscribe for more car insanity, and I'll see you in the next one.